Right, listen, lads, it's very important that we get off to a good start tonight. The fans, they've paid a lot of money to come and watch. Realistically, right, have you got a better chance of survival against 100 chicken-sized elephants or 1 elephant-sized chicken? Because those wings flapping could be crazy. Right, everyone got that? Wait, sorry, what? Go have fun and ultimately break a leg.
Amigos y amigas de TNT Sport, muy rico. Ya están jugando, pitazo del juez. Arrancó, inició el partido.
15 segundos la amarilla para roja. Roja.
Y se va.
Récord.
Oh, so he didn't mean actually break the leg. Tell you what though, listen to this, ref. Would you rather have 100 chickens just get off the pitch? Yo guys, it is your boy Earnin here, and you are watching FTW. This, of course, the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. But what's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, former President of the United States, Donald Trump's mugshot has been made public, and the face here is simply special. Actually looking like me when I've missed a fantasy football deadline. Can't lie, this is content. The general world was loving seeing this appear on social media. He might be the first person to ever have the same color skin as a US prison outfit. I need to see him involved in prison football though. Let's get the FC announcement. Here we have him as captain trying to get his defense to set up for a set piece.
We're going to build a wall. It's going to be built.
Who am I kidding, man? He'd put out his pelvis in 20 minutes. Onto the football though now, and we start with a truly unbelievable match between Newcastle and Liverpool. And it started badly for the Reds, going 1-0 down due to a Trent mistake.
Very interesting.
Then a Virgil van Dijk red card for a challenge on Isak where he got the ball. Nah, I'm joking. It was a red card, but we needed a hero, a saviour. We needed Darwin Nunes. 10-man Liverpool came back from 1-0 down to win 2-1 thanks to 2 late Darwin goals. The last one here coming in the 93rd minute. The only ref that could have saved Newcastle, unfortunately, wasn't present today. What in the PED inhalers have we given this guy? So, you have asthma. No, no, I need to give you the inhaler. You have asthma, right? Ah, good, man. My lungs are blessed. Can't win. Nunez had no time for Sven Botman when the Newcastle defender tried to mark him, and the Uruguayan celebrated wildly. It seemed like a relief, but the impact of Marcus Rashford really knows no bounds. The guy's actually chaos. Every day of his life is like Takeshi's Castle. He is constant box office. Right, so Darwin, look, we need to do your taxes. So nice and calm activity. How have you been arrested already? Eddie Howe is going to be having nightmares of this guy next time he sees him in the reverse fixture. And Darwin himself revealed that he'd had a call with Marcelo Bielsa to talk about his game before this one, and he'd spoken about some of the things that he was doing wrong and tried to improve on them. I can't wait for him to have his next call with his other inspiration.
He came from Benfica to the big.
He saved Jurgen Klopp single-handedly off the bench here, and Liverpool's boss did repay him at full time.
Entering block mode.
Jurgen will also be pleased after getting one back over Newcastle's assistant. Jason Tyndall is usually the star of the show, man of the match, and he was photographed shushing Jurgen at 1-0 up. What was the score at full time though, Jason? That's the question. And Jurgen stored this and shushed him back. Or unless we thought he did, till we realised it was faked by a graphic designer. The first half, though, was very different, as I mentioned. Virgil van Dijk was sent off. Virg had fierce words for the official who tried to touch him.
And he's just literally told me to fuck off.
I mean, yeah, look, listen, he said don't touch him. Yeah, I'm not surprised, because Andrew Robertson got people's elbowed by one last year. There was a scare for United as well this week versus Forest, as they were 2-0 down in just 4 minutes.
Oh no! It's 4!
I actually have no idea how United managed this, you know. Forest were 2-0 up at one point with 9% possession. Actually, no, I do know how they did it, because Andre Onana turned into a fold-up chair for one of the goals. This is no time to sit down, brother. He was pictured on the bus on the way out of the ground. This guy was primed and ready for a water slide. He's looking to take up a new career at this point. Marcus Rashford was disappointed seeing that they were losing before realising trees are at least good for the environment. But ultimately, United would come back from behind, cause mass deforestation, and have a 3-2 win under Eric Ten Hag. Imagine what the city of Nottingham would look like if Forest had been good for longer than 6 minutes in this one. And who's that behind all the new infrastructure in the city? On the other side of Manchester, and City left it late to beat newly promoted Sheffield United, conceding an equaliser in the 85th minute, but then winning it in the 89th through Rodri. Word has it that Rodri can't drive an automatic, because he has a clutch at all times. The Spaniard is an altogether different beast when his side are winning, compared to needing a last-minute winner. Erling Haaland, though, proved that he is human. Get in there, lad. After missing a penalty at 0-0, he's collabed with Prime and immediately he's shafted it, mate.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
Pep Guardiola was concerned, to say the least, seeing him actually miss for once, but he did make up for it with the opener later on. Though, to be honest, with the penalty miss and my FPLD was still muddied. Ruben Diaz and Jack Grealish were trying to explain things to Julian Alvarez and Bernardo Silva. How are they supposed to understand Jack, mate?
Because I live in a shithole! Birmingham is a fucking shithole! It's full of dickheads!
Jack was struggling to answer when Julian asked him where in the UK his accent came from.
I want you to put where you're from.
On this map.
Where are you originally from?
But there were more twists in the tale as Sheffield United equalised through Jadon Bogle. Pep could be seen drinking 14 metric litres of water when Sheffield United equalised. Kyle Walker was caught out badly here. And you know what? I'm suspicious. I think his allegiances might have reverted. He could be seen with Bogle just moments after the equaliser went in. But Man City would go on to win, despite Pep Guardiola's injury. A back injury keeping him out at the moment. When are FIFA going to realise there's too many games, even for the bosses? Arsenal dropped their first points of the season with a 2-2 draw versus 10-man Fulham.
Brighton and Fulham and them, man.
And Fulham scored in the first minute of this one. Aaron Ramsdale could have done a little bit better as this one passed him by. Why are you there? And Arsenal fans, I wouldn't have the tweet that Fulham put out, zooming in on Mikel Arteta's face as the goal went in. He knew what was happening here. It's a shithousery award for the West Londoners. I don't know, things seemed a little bit off here. Kai Havertz definitely went carnival. Ben White at half-time, counting down the seconds till the second half when Mikel Arteta backs out a light bulb again. I'm upset. But they did come back and take the lead with an inspired performance from Fabio Vieira, who looked a little bit different, but then conceded late. I mean, their set-piece training clearly wasn't available. There were no such troubles for their North London rivals Tottenham, though, who beat Bournemouth 2-0. Harry Kane might have been holding these lot back, you know. And Postecoglou has turned this squad upside down, literally, because he's from Australia. Why are you down there? James Maddison had a good day at the office and even picked out a Bournemouth fan, giving him stick as he scored his goal. And he had some funny beef with the rest of the Bournemouth fans too, going to take a corner. Not as good of a day, though, for Richarlison, who got a good squad rating for Tottenham. And then there's him. He must have been too busy announcing the third kit for the squad.
Right there, right there, right there, right there. Oh my days.
Let me see, bro.
Shut up, shut up. How can you not see that?
Oh my
It's
god.
fine, it's fine.
Oh my god, no, she's right, she's right.
I don't understand how he can score this, but then miss this. Mikel Antonio and Callum Wilson were creasing on the podcast. Pap Sarr was beefing him about his 3.4 sofa score rating down on the bench. Meanwhile, Tottenham fans are fairly suspicious when they see his passport.
Immigration, check his passport again. I think it's a fake. I know you said it's Brazil. I think he's from Stoke.
At Chelsea, and they got their first win of the season, slapping Luton aside. Their spend versus Luton since 1992 is nuts, and their squad is truly representing. They might as well get themselves a new badge at this point. The right-hand side of the pitch is representing two at this rate. They've signed Cole Palmer from Man City for 40 mil. How are they actually doing this? More money's passed through Chelsea this summer than Nottingham since 1963. Guys, I'm trying, okay? I can't build it any quicker. Maurizio Pochettino will have some wise words for his front line for Cole Palmer's debut.
You are freaking African-Americans plus Mark. You know what I'm saying? Which I'm rocking with Mark.
And here we have him trying to prove that he's actually a quarter Ghanaian to the rest of the side.
Real bad man, no muggle in a shot.
Imagine when John Terry sees this starting 11. It's gonna be a wrap. Meanwhile, on the pitch, and Raheem Sterling's catching one. Hey, yo. Listen, if there's one thing I know about Raheem Sterling, he'll be throwing it back in return for the reverse fixture. In transfer news, and Manchester United need a new left back, and they want Marc Cucurella on loan from Chelsea.
Manchester United.
Now look, he was obviously good for Brighton, but I feel like this stinks, honestly. Erik ten Hag has fond memories of him playing in that game for Getafe. Who even has that game for Getafe and is important? Erik ten Hag's entire transfer policy revolves around fond memories. I've got fond memories of John Arne Riise, but he's 42 now. Here we have Erik on his way to the Netherlands to nab more players from Ajax. Based on his form last season for Chelsea, this is a car crash signing. Speaking of which, they're also interested in Barca's Marcos Alonso. Alonso, and we have him here turning up for his medical already. Speaking of Kukurea a second ago, by the way, I remember last year when he had his wig ripped off the top of his head. Well, in an interview this week, Mike Dean was on VAR duty and said that he didn't call the on-pitch official to the screen because he didn't want to embarrass him and they were mates. I don't care if you were in Yu-Gi-Oh club together at secondary school.
That's his job.
Mike said that he had sympathy for him because the referee had a bad game. That sounds like a him problem. He's had an even worse game now because that was probably the most standout bad decision in the full 90 minutes. Mike D wasn't giving him advice at all. He was trying to organise a booze up down the phone. Also, calling the referee over to the screen is not humiliating. Why would it be? If this doesn't show that there's reform needed for referees in this country, I don't know what will. Meanwhile, Bukayo Saka won Young Player of the Year this week, but if Erling Haaland's just won Player of the Season, and he's also young, then how's he not won Young Player of the Season? And speaking of Bukayo, at the awards, he was shown a video where fans had to answer an extremely difficult question, but in the end, it wasn't that difficult at all.
Wait, to win the league or they sell me?
Saka ain't going nowhere, bro. Ever. That's not worth it. That's not worth it. That's our star boy. That's like your son. I think second place.
Wow. Hey, that's real love, you know.
Club in England, cap. We'll win the league again.
That's real talk.
Keep Saka. That's the people's champ. That's our son. We've been through so much.
Wow.
With him. That's not a deal worth even contemplating. If Saka...
He said it's not even contemplating. That's real love. I appreciate that.
Very wholesome. So I like this kid, man, and I have no affiliation to Arsenal. Now I can't wait for him to get asked about the award win by US television.
Julian Segment's live with Bukayo Saka.
Bukayo, you're looking at that MVP trophy. You've had your fair share of trophies, but...
The Carabao Cup started this week and Tottenham went out to Fulham. They've bottled a trophy already. It's still August. Apparently players struggle to see each other due to the new grey kit. Meanwhile, I don't think Fraser Forster could see the ball for the penalty shootout. On to Lionel Messi watch now. Yep, I'm sorry, he's still doing things. I apologise. He made his MLS debut this week and not a phone was in sight as he came onto the pitch. Everyone living in the moment. He's won enough trophies in America already. This guy's completed 2 sports. He's completed football and he's completed soccer. One Twitter page tweeted out his goals record over in America. However, the abbreviation they went for could have been thought through a little bit. One thing he is going to have to adapt to, though, is the downright violent abuse from the crowd.
Oh, shiver my timbers.
Well, maybe his bodyguard's gonna have to take matters into his own hands. Yep, that is right. There is a bodyguard shadowing Lionel Messi along the sideline for every game he plays for Inter Miami. There's scenes when he KOs the linesman for getting a bit too close during a throw-in. The guy's job is literally to man-mark him. And look, I don't envy him, man. It's a tough job trying to keep up with Lionel Messi. Plus, every game's going to extra time at the moment, and he'll be taking it out on Leo when he tries skill moves in the 122nd minute, and all he wants to do is go home.
What are you doing, you daft bastard? Taking fucking forever with your tricky little fucking flick skills.
But at least he can swap shifts with Rodrigo de Paul. He'd quite happily do the same job. West Ham United pulled off the ultimate smash and grab versus Brighton to go top of the table briefly. They had 13 passes in 29 minutes and one more pass through David Moyes' bowels in 29 minutes. Can't lie, West Ham might actually be better without that long-grain carbohydrate in midfield. Everton's new signing is Beto from Udinese, and his storyline is an inspiring one, as he used to work in his local KFC as a youngster, and now he's in the Premier League. Honestly, he'll be back eating a zinger burger before he knows it when Everton are down in the Championship. Because even though he did score and they came back from behind, at one point in the Cup, they were losing to Doncaster Rovers, and Everton fans were bringing out the almightiest of boos. I don't think I've ever seen a boo more aggressive in my life. But then again, they get a lot of practice, so. Danny Ings has brought a new trim to the table, and he looks like he's about to commit a hate crime. Erling Haaland confirmed that he used to watch KSI videos back in the day as a youngster, which means Erling Haaland might have seen me in top 5 goals of the week.
Okay, we have Norangutan 1027.
Mo Salah visited his local museum this week. Brother, it's all your stuff anyway, man. The United Kingdom have just nabbed everything. This shirt here from a football fan with a prosthetic leg may well be the greatest shirt of all time. Nah, they even shortened one of the sticks on the 11, and that's actually crazy. Meanwhile, Nadia Mamiri was on the brink of signing for Leeds, only to visit the city and realise it wasn't for him this week. Yeah, look, he saw the Prism nightclub there. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Now, over in Spain, it's been a busy week there. Yamine Lamal is a 16-year-old taking La Liga by storm, grabbing man of the match in a classic 4-3 result versus Villarreal. Barca were 2-0 up, 3-2 down, and then came back to claim all 3 points. But the talk of the town is Yamal, another product of the La Masia Academy. Though his mum still has those motherly instincts. Apparently, she's scared for him every single time he plays, and she's taking it seriously, trying to do up hold-up play for him to ensure that he doesn't get on the wrong end of challenges. You know what's crazy, right? Despite his age, he ain't even got the most TikTok hours used in a day on his phone. Lewandowski's got more, and Yamal is literally a child. This game was nuts, by the way. Marcos Alonso was on his usual terrorism. Meanwhile, I think, honestly, Barca have already conceded 127% of the goals they conceded all of last season at Real Madrid, and they won again, but the referee was even getting involved to help. But I don't know about that one. I knew their starting 11 for this one was a little bit crazy. But if we turn the ref around, who's going in for the challenge? Who is that at DM, I hear you cry? Back in 2021, by the way, tweets were put out, and obviously, you know, Real Madrid themselves were linked with a front three of Mbappe, Haaland, and Vinicius Jr. And now, today, in 2023, it's looking a little bit different. That's a Tesco's own front three, lads. Bar Rodrigo, of course. Florentino Perez has some explaining to do, replacing African descent Kylian Mbappe with Brexit footballer Joselu in his plans.
But I'm not in any way racist. In fact, one of my best friends is friends with a man who's black, and he's very black. Oh yeah. Man, he's black.
This Real Madrid squad's going to be all over the place by 2026.
It's a flat back four of Beethoven, Muhammad Ali, Abraham Lincoln.
Thibaut Courtois is training already, even with his ACL injury. Ah, man, I guess I really don't have an excuse after all. Meanwhile, former Celta Vigo midfielder Gabri Veiga has turned down a move to a fellow Spanish side to go over to Saudi Arabia, despite only being 21 years old, ultimately because he's going to get offered a lot more money than he would in Spain. To which Toni Kroos replied on Instagram saying, embarrassing. I get the sentiment. You know, he's a youngster going Saudi. A lot of the players that are going Saudi right now are at the end of their career. But honestly, Toni Kroos is so boring. He's always scurrying off somewhere to give an opinion that nobody asked for. And on the other side of Madrid, Atletico won 7-0 this week, despite having less possession overall. Diego Simeone is a specimen. I think he's actively disappointed when his side actually try and play tiki-taka football. In Italy, and Victor Osimhen is discussing a new Napoli deal, and they're wanting to insert a no Juventus clause.
Oh God, I feel terrible. I feel terrible that I'm living in your head rent free.
That's crazy, man. Other clauses include a monetary fine if he spells Kavica Kvaratskhelia name wrong, and that every night before bed he's got to say fucking to Milan. Now, one man who will also be saying fucking to Milan is Romelu Lukaku, who's on the verge of joining Roma. His flight was tracked by a record number of people in the form of Roma fans and was flown by the club's president. He's lucky. If this was Liverpool's owners, they would be cheapskates about the flight that he's getting on. This is not a drill, by the way. A group of fans actually want to sign Romelu Lukaku until he provides another few shocking misses and his flight back to London is the most tracked of all time. Speaking of Rom, though, and there was unacceptable scenes on Italian television where a presenter or commentator was sacked on the spot for a racist remark about the Belgian forward. Do you understand how mad it is to be too racist for Italy? Alexis Sanchez is back at Inter on a free transfer. Honestly, low-key, I forgot that he wasn't even playing for them in the first place. His dogs are back to being Italian again. Meanwhile, Cagliari fans were giving it large to Inter supporters, and I mean all Cagliari fans were giving it large to Inter supporters. God, I got some, yeah. Meanwhile, as the revelation that Pisa's club shop is attached to a petrol station. Fucking hell, man. These oil clubs have gone too far. Harry Kane is firmly fitting in at Bayern Munich right now. This guy's gonna learn German before he learns English at this rate.
Im Grunde, Jungs, ich möchte einfach nur eine echte Trophäe, weil ich vorher mit Davinson Sanchez zu tun hatte.
Meanwhile, his former Tottenham teammate Eric Dyer might be joining him at the club, as Bayern are rumoured to be interested in the centre-back. And Borussia Dortmund win the Bundesliga. Meanwhile, Dyer was at least honest during his job interview for the club.
And you guys never win anything, right? No.
And elsewhere in the Bundesliga, we've got the world's first mid-game shirt swap. Over in France, and Kylian Mbappe has registered 400 goal contributions in his career now, which is absolutely mental considering his age, but won't be accepting the claims that it's only that high because it's a farmers league. And at Lille, what a story for Lenny Yoro, a 17-year-old who scored a last-minute winner in a Conference League qualifier this week, and the scenes for it were absolutely sensational. Now that it's time for your goals of the week, and the sensational scenes keep coming. First of all, we start in South Korea and at Gangwon FC, where Ikromyon Alibayev has scored an absolute screamer from range. This is a week of barnstormers because it's a similar vibe over at Ream. And in Ligue 1, Teddy Tuma's strike has stayed here. But finally, and this goal of the week has a brilliant storyline to it, because at New Haven, needing a goal, step forward the club's goalkeeper as the ball is lifted into the area, it's headed away, and in the 98th minute, their shot stopper has unleashed an unbelievable strike to probably score the best goal scored by a goalkeeper ever. IShowSpeed won a streaming award this week. Dressed in a Real Madrid shirt, the guy thinks he's won the Ballon d'Or, mate. Meanwhile, if you thought Fabrizio Romano only dealt with transfer rumours, you'd be wrong, because this wedding cake features a here we go for the lucky couple. Over in Saudi Arabia, and Sadio Mane was baffled when an opponent went in for a hug instead of a handshake. And speaking of getting a little bit too comfortable with the new stars over there, this Al Ittihad player has literally become Karim Benzema, with the trim, the number being 99, and he's even got the hand tape on. This guy hasn't got a hand injury. Hello all, and welcome to the beautiful game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty.
Kurt Cosby. Joe Malkin. Oh, maar Ruster turnen. Ik heb niet ooit hier. Oh.
And that concludes the beautiful game. Now, up in Scotland, and it was a disastrous day at the office for Rangers. 5-1 to PSV in their final Champions League qualifier. They will still be in Europe, but the final goal of the day, I think, pretty much summed it all up. In Uruguay, and Luis Suarez performed probably the most Luis Suarez set of circumstances this week. Going down, complaining about it, then having his football boot thrown into the subs bench by an opponent, and getting a player yellow carded. It's constant drama. Back in the K-League now, and have you ever seen an injury to the pitch? Well, literally a groundsman had to run onto the pitch after a massive slab of turf came up and fix it on the fly with a wheelbarrow of dirt. At least they're always prepared over there. Meanwhile, in Malaysia, it's been a pretty rough season for Kelantan so far, who have lost 8-0, 10-0, and then 11-2 this month. After the 11-2 and their goalkeeper was left devastated, he had to be comforted by the opponents and a referee. Meanwhile, he wasn't the only thing that was sad, because the crowd, the Kelantan fans, even sat in the position of a sad emoji to try and display their feelings about the situation. In Venezuela and at Rio Zuliano, we've got the worst penalty of all time here.
Cuarto penal en la tanda para Rayo, va a tomar impulso Flores.
In Brazil, and they take mascots to games with them, but not usually in the form of a chicken. I'm not gonna lie to you. Richarlison really is getting everywhere at the moment. In Argentina, and we've got a player going down, only to be joined by the physio. Yep, the physio who was coming on to try and treat a player who obviously gone down injured, then pulled something or did something to his knee himself and had to be carried off the pitch by the other physio, who then also got injured and then had to get carried off by the next physios. And then closer to home, and I'm not entirely sure what message Carlos Alcaraz of Southampton was trying to put across here.
We go in a little bit closer. Now I've got Woody from Toy Story.
Newcastle defender Jamal Lascelles got involved in a scrap this week in the centre of Newcastle after leaving a nightclub with his family. To be fair, look, listen, I hope he's alright. I hope everyone involved is alright, but at least he probably would have had a better chance of stopping Darwin Nunez with this. While Southend United's National League game was abandoned after angry Southend supporters threw tennis balls onto the pitch. Obviously, Southend have been going through it massively as a football club recently. There's probably an entire video on that over their poor ownership, failings probably of the Football League and the future of that club, and they have had enough, whilst also being perfectly equipped to be ball boys at Wimbledon. Over in Qatar, and I don't quite think the quality of football there has caught up with their neighbours Saudi Arabia. In the Swedish Premier League, and Göteborg faced off against Häcken, who'd just been knocked out of Champions League qualifiers, obviously famously by KI Klaksvik, the Faroese team who have been taking Europe by storm. They unfurled a banner saying, "We love UKI," before the game started. Yeah, it's a shithousery award. And there was plenty of beef going on in El Salvador as well.
La defensa, ya, atención, ojo, 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 ojo. Oh, señoras y señores. Entró el Firpo, entró el Firpo, entró el Firpo, señoras y señores, ahí viene el Firpo.
Literally, though, in the form of bulls who got onto the pitch. Now this is a farmers league. In Croatia, and I'd love to know how Papuk have managed to lose 24-1 inside 82 minutes. Shout out to Mario Kupacek, though, he's really done the unthinkable. And over in Georgia, shout out to Dinamo Tbilisi, who are themselves shouting out the school children below the admin decks, who are enjoying sharing what looks to be a pint of beer. I love that. Absolutely no snitching from this admin. Somebody get the shots in. No, actually don't do that. Now there is time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is a segment of the show where I bring to the best of Sunday League and amateur football, and this week we're heading to Slovakia on a famous ground that's seen action again in the Slovakian Cup, and the footage is as brilliant as you would expect. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, being a linesman at this ground must be a tricky job. On to the weird stuff though now. Now, Torns IF are a Swedish club. They have discovered something revolutionary within the game of football and the rules of the offside, and that's that a player is offside from the point at which a pass is played, but the point where contact is made. So they put together an educational video to send over to FIFA that showed that if you were to pick up the ball with your foot and like scoop it up and keep it on top of your foot, a player could run like 10 yards offside but wouldn't be offside, because at the point where the initial contact happened and they started picking up the ball, he was actually still on. So the difficult part, as they pointed out, was not only actually making that pass happen, but getting their striker to actually put it in the back of the net. Things aren't looking good for Estonian side Valga FC, who lost 20-0 to Jovi FC this week in the cup. They've been going through what I can only imagine is financial problems, because they were only able to field 9 players for this one, with one debutant being 16 and another player that they used being 49. But finally, in some wholesome news, and we head over to Bournemouth, where David Brooks, of course, had missed a long period of time out of the beautiful game, of course, going through cancer treatment over the last 12 to 18 months. Well, he has been gradually getting back into playing, and not only played, but captained his side in their Carabao Cup tie this week, and he also grabbed his first goal since returning back to the pitch. So it's great to see his return and full recovery, and also great to see him back on the score sheet and out on the pitch. That, though, is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course, subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @officialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.